Wow, that was fun. Sixes galore of the bat of Hardik Pandya and Ishan Kishan have taken Mumbai to the 200 mark in Qualifier 1 against the Delhi Capitals. Let's see what kind of score that is on Whirlpool Presents ESPN Cricket for T20 Timeout, powered by Dell. Gautam Gambhir with me. So too Tom Moody. Tom, that is not what you want when you see Mumbai bat. Just when you thought Delhi had a chance, when you thought that it got Pollard early, someone or the other just gets you, and they got 200. Thoughts on that score?
Well, that's the strength of Mumbai Indians, isn't it? You get Rohit Sharma first ball, you get Pollard second ball, both without scoring, and suddenly they seem to be able to find their way to 200. Extraordinary power hitting at the back end there. And again, it just typifies the strength and depth that they have in their batting. And just the way they structure their game, they play to their power hitters. So they're quite comfortable going at a reasonable rate without sort of breaking any, speed records. But they knowing that the back 10 overs, they got the likes of Pandya and also Pollard. And that's the recipe they've stuck with, and it's been a very successful one.
It's something so many teams try to replicate, isn't it, Gautam? And Mumbai have the luxury of Pollard and Pandya. Let's talk about Pandya's 6 hitting today. Just 14 balls, 37, 5 sixes among them, including some of Rabada and Nokke, who've been arguably the bowlers of the tournament.
Unbelievable. And that's just the confidence of the man as well. He doesn't need that much time actually to just get into it. He just goes from ball 1. But how important was Ishan Kishan and Surya Kumar Yadav? And the only reason Pollard can play like Pollard and Pandya can play like Pandya is because there are people like Surya Kumar Yadav and Ishan Kishan. Actually, Surya Kumar Yadav got a 50 of 36 balls without taking any risk. It didn't even feel like that he was hurting the opposition. So was Ishan Kishan. How good was these two guys? I can understand these people always talk about Quinton de Kock's, Rohit Sharma's, Pandya's and Pollard, but actually all these guys can play the way they want to play is because of people like Surya and Ishan Kishan who've been brilliant in this tournament.
Yeah, let's talk about them then. Let's give them full credit. Good point Gautam makes. Let's not get carried away by just Hardik Pandya. We've seen this before from him. We'll talk about Pandya. But on the night of a big final, a qualifier, Tom, your eyes are perhaps as an opponent more on a Rohit or a Pollard or a Pandya. And that's the thing about Mumbai, right? Even when they don't take you apart, sometimes a Surya Kumar Yadav or a Ishan Kishan can. What's amazing about these two is they've done it quite regularly this season.
Well, they've just been wonderful. They've just added to what is already a very strong combination. This Surya Kumar Yadav he's a serious player, isn't he? He's such a good player of spin. He seems to play pace bowling with time. We've talked about it before, but it is quite amazing that you've got a 30-year-old playing like that and he hasn't even gone close to playing for India. He really is a special talent. And this young Ishan Kishan is just growing and growing as a young superstar player. He's shown a lot of character tonight with regards to his innings. He was a little bit slow to get going, but he had the calmness to be able to hang in there knowing that there was a bigger picture at play, and his role was to make sure he batted towards the end, so it allowed the power hitters to do what they do.
Yeah, we've teased this before, haven't we, on Surya's possible call-up to the Indian side. There are so many fine players, Gautam. Where do you stand on Surya Kumar Yadav? Is he already the finished product temperamentally to be at least a part of the Indian T20I side? And the same question for Ishan Kishan too. He doesn't often get referenced with all these other players that we talk about in the race for the Indian wicketkeeper batsman spot. But is he up there for you?
See, to start with, I feel sorry for KKR. Surya Kumar, I feel really sorry for him. But genuinely, someone who got good for 4 years, actually was batting at number 6. I wish I could have batted him at number 3, but there was no position because Manish Pandey was batting at number 3 for us. And I always wanted Surya to be batting at number 3. But then you groom a young guy, for 4 years, and then you let him go when he could have been actually the main guy. And the way when he went to Mumbai from there on, look at the kind of player he's become. So KKR's loss is actually Mumbai's gain. So first, from Surya's point of view, yes, it's a huge loss for KKR. Yes, he is a finished product because this is the right age as well. Yes, sometimes we push young cricketers into the national side too early so that just because of talent and we can groom them and all that kind of stuff. But Surya is a guy, he's seen first-class cricket. He's dominated first-class cricket. He's been very consistent in IPL as well. He's 30. He's got another 6-7 years where he can actually deal with the ups and downs of international cricket. He can handle the pressure as well. So probably this is the right time. Sometimes you push a young kid when he's 20, 21, and suddenly he's all over the place. But at this stage where Surya is, and where he's batting, he's actually in too much of control of himself and his batting as well. So that's the right time. And not only in T20 cricket, don't label him just as a T20 cricketer.
Yeah.
He could be a serious white ball one-day cricketer as well. He could be a serious white ball one-day cricketer. So we sometimes end up putting labels on players that he's only a T20 cricketer. And from Ishan Kishan point of view, how similar is he to someone like Quinton de Kock? Actually, when both these guys are batting, it looks absolutely similar. Their strengths, their pull shot, pick up shot, all the stuff, they're more leg side dominated. And I wish I could see Ishan Kishan actually keep wickets as well, because he's someone who could be a serious wicket-keeper batsman in white ball cricket for India as a backup. Look, at the moment, it's KL Rahul who's going to be there because of his sheer class, but then Ishan Kishan is right up there among the other young cricketer or wicket-keeper batsmen going around.
Yeah, what we've seen of both these players, Tom, is when we look at Indian players and uncapped Indian players, of which both these two players still are, sometimes their downfall is quality international bowling, pace bowling. It could be a top-class international spinner, but there doesn't seem to be either of those apparent weaknesses in either the game of Surya or to Ishan Kishan. Fair enough?
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. And I think what it does is it highlights how important the IPL has been over the last decade or so with regards to developing talent. You know, they get exposed to some of the world's best, bowlers and batsmen they've got to either face or bowl against. And it just helps fast track their development. They get exposed very early if they've got any technical issues or any other issues within their game, and they get a chance to rectify that very quickly. There's not too many countries that have the luxury of having a tournament like this on their doorstep where they can have that stage to showcase their young talent, and for that young talent to learn in a dressing room full of international players and also the very best that India can offer. It's such a vibrant learning environment for these players. And here's two examples that we're talking about of players that have embraced that learning environment and are getting better and better with that exposure.
Now, Hardik Pandya, if we go back to him, I love this phrase that we've been using both these shows, development of a game of an individual. And the one thing that most teams would want in a T20 game, Gautam, is someone who can hit sixes of fast bowling immediately, which is what number 6, number 7, number 8 would you require of in T20 cricket. Hardik Pandya seems to have just mastered that art. And I don't know, how do you practice for it? Can you practice to hit a 140, 150 Rabada and knock for 6 right away? How do you manage to succeed with such efficiency in such a hard skill set?
You can. Actually, you can develop hitting big sixes. I remember I think Ian Chappell or someone was telling that Mike Hussey was never a big hitter of the ball. Tom must have seen Mike Hussey from very early on, but he developed himself into a serious hitting cricketer. He could hit those long balls as well. Yes, it's difficult to actually bowl 150, but it's actually you can develop from the batting point of view. You can develop actually the power hitting, which Hardik Pandya has done consistently. Initially, if you see, when he come onto the IPL and international scene, he was more of someone who could hit those spinners out of the park. But over a period of time, he has started doing against the fast bowlers as well. So I'm sure that he's developed that skill, and which is very important if you want to be successful consistently, that you can develop your overall skill against every kind of bowler.
Yeah, it's something that not just in the IPL, Tom, but I'm sure international teams look for it as well, don't they? And it's not something that's easily found. Even if you grow up on surfaces playing fast bowling, it takes a special skill to master the art of hitting fast bowling for 6 right away.
It's very rare that you can have a batsman walk in and hit, let alone pace bowling, but any bowling straight away for 4s and 6s. You can count those players on one hand in the world. And Hardik Pandya is probably getting close to the top of the list, if he's not the top of the list, with regards to that ability to walk in there and have an immediate impact. It's not easy, but it is a practice skill. A lot of players these days, when they practice role specific. Now, Hardik Pandya knows that his role is going to be probably 12 balls, maybe 15 on the outside. So his practice is based around that power hitting. I remember way back in the late 90s, Lance Klusener, you may remember, had that phenomenal World Cup in 99. Now, his practice for 2 years leading into that World Cup was power hitting. He would practice just, blasting the ball out of the nets, practicing his range hitting. Now, this is common practice now for all these sort of finishers, and Hardik Pandya is clearly head and shoulders above the rest.
Right. Let's look ahead to the chase. Yes, Gautam, please.
And Ronak, one more thing. It's just the fear that you impose on the opposition bowlers. It's not, and that's the reason why they end up messing up with their lengths. Look at Rabada when he was bowling to other guys, and the moment Hardik Pandya came in, it's just the fear. And it's exactly the same with the batters as well. When you fear a bowler, your entire technique goes for a toss, and it's exactly the same with bowlers as well. When they start fearing a batter, their length just goes everywhere. They start bowling short, they start bowling length delivery. So that's the kind of fear that Hardik imposes on the bowlers now.
It's been so much incident in this first innings. I've not even been able to touch upon R. Ashwin or Quinton de Kock, who in their own right had an impact on this first innings. But as we just take quick comments, players already on their way out. You'd think with what Ashwin did that there is still something for the bowlers, Tom, and therefore a Rahul Chahar or a spinner could come into it. And also the surface, it looks like a very decent one. So 200 isn't ungettable, is it?
No, it's not ungettable. There is a little bit of turn there, but nothing too alarming. The alarming thing for me from the bowling perspective in that first innings was the fact that the three pace bowlers, Rabada, Nokia and Sams, went for 136 runs between them. 136 runs between the three for three bowlers off 12 overs. And that's, hitting a run rate of around near close to 11 and a half. Per over. So, there is a very good batting surface. Mumbai would be foolish to think they've got enough because it is a good batting surface. They'll have to still field exceptionally well and make sure they bowl well.
Gautam, final thoughts?
Look, it's going to be difficult, but there is no such total which is not gettable. Any total is gettable. So I'm sure that Delhi will back themselves. And when we spoke before the game, that this probably is a game where the batters can come out and play freely because they still have another chance to reach the finals. So probably this is the best chance for them to just go out all guns blazing, nothing to lose. And probably you never know what's going to happen.
Yep, let's keep it there. Let's try and pick this up at the end of it all. Thank you, Tom Moody, Gautam Gambhir. Get your thoughts at the end of this game and to see which one of these two teams has a firm foot in the final of IPL 2020. And we'll see you then for Whirlpool Presents ESPN Cricket 4020 Timeout, powered by Dell.